Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, Tyler Britton. And yes, Tyler is out and abroad. It does look like we are getting him in from a third world country here. Tyler, great to have you in. I know you're going through it out there trying to make sure we get this content out to the Kentucky football fans, because guess what? This team is 500. After starting off 2-5, they have rattled off three in a row. Obviously, taking down Tennessee Tech over the weekend, an undefeated 10-0 team when they came into Lexington. They beat them 42-10, and really, in every aspect of the game, just dominated from start to finish. And man, what if I would have told you, Tyler, that 3 weeks ago on this day, after Kentucky had just beaten Purdue in basketball, and we had just come off of that stomping to Tennessee, that the vibes around this football program are higher than the basketball team? Well, I mean, you would have slapped me right in the face. You would have called me an idiot. You would have called me a clown. But here we are. I think the vibes around this football program are the best they've been probably since you've been a co-host of mine here on the Cats Talk podcast, or at least since the beginning of last season.
Yeah, Cam, it's exciting to be here all the way from Toledo, Ohio. I didn't go far, guys. I am carrying the word out here. I did wear my Cats Talk hat. I don't know where I put it, but no, I'm seeing family right now, Cam. I'm in my old bedroom, which no longer looks like my old bedroom. So here I am. But yeah, to your point, I mean, this is an exciting time for Kentucky football. Probably the most exciting that I've seen, probably since week 1 of last year when we beat Southern Miss 31-0 in 3 quarters of football. I mean, that was probably the most exciting we had. Maybe we got one win later down the road or something like that. I can't. There was the Old Miss game that was also kind of exciting,
Yep.
but other than those 2 wins, it's been kind of Debbie Downers the entire time I've been covering the team. So it's exciting to be watching the team and being back at 500 here. Having a legitimate shot for a bowl game. Last year, by this time, we were like, the team has checked out. There's no positivity around the program. Everybody was tuned in to Mark Pope and the basketball team, what they were going to do. There was generally more interest from Kentucky fans on Arkansas basketball than there was in football at this point of the season last year. So it's exciting to see it because we all thought by this point we were going to be in the same situation, if not even worse. Shout out to Mark Pope. Mark Stoops. I mean, he's really turned this program around the last few weeks, and I think for Kentucky fans, they're starting to get a little excited. I don't know where that stands for the end of the season. I don't know what Mitch Barnhart is thinking at this point. I don't know if Mark Stoops has saved his job. Bush Hampton may have saved his own job. I mean, the team has turned itself around. I'll give you some numbers here. Kendrick Law at the beginning of the year was almost a scratch off. We were almost wondering, why did we even get him back? Like, there was no trust in him. There was no trust in the receiving corps. There was no trust in Cutter Boley or Zach Calzada. We were all, everything was kind of a wash. The only player we were kind of hyped up about was Seth McGowan at this point. And transparently, after this game, Seth McGowan, I'm not saying he's the second string running back, but he's kind of taken a step back in terms of the offense here. I mean, Dante Dalladell, man, he's trucking along. He had 87 yards. He had 6.7 yards per carry. I mean, he seems like he's the guy nowadays. I know Seth had the 3 touchdowns, but it is what it is. Kendrick Law had 11 receptions for 124 yards. He had a hell of a game. He had a contested catch. He had a couple, big receiving plays there. Harley Gilmore had another good game. The rest of the team's looking pretty sick. Seth McGowan's still a big part, but he's not necessarily the big focal point right now.
Yeah, I mean, so many things to unpack of what you just said there. I'm going to cut Dante some slack. The last 2 weeks, he has been a lot better than he was those middle 6 weeks, because the middle 6 weeks, he was nowhere to be found when we needed him. And I think that was all encapsulated on his 3 straight rushes inside the 2-yard line at Texas, in which we couldn't get it in. And man, what kind of season are we talking if we punch one of those in? I mean, you're talking about being 6-4, having a win over a good Texas team, and you're talking about a chance for a really good bowl game. Obviously, didn't turn out like that. But Tyler, this is something I mentioned to you a little earlier in the week. This is why I adamantly despise playing an FCS team this late into the season. I hate it. I genuinely do not think there's a single benefit to playing a team like Tennessee Tech this late in the season. You want to play them early in the season? I'm all for it. Let a guy like Zach Calzada, instead of his second true test being Ole Miss, let it be Tennessee Tech. Same thing with Cutter Boley. Let everybody get their feet wet. Let this offense, you know, get some cohesion, because we've seen the cohesion in the offense the last couple of weeks, and it's really starting to look good, and we're starting to get, really happy and showing promise in it. Why play this game so late? It doesn't make any sense to me. When they rolled out this schedule, it didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now. Even though I'm super thrilled that we obviously got the 42-10 win and excited that we're back to 500 with a chance to go bowling. That's still one of the biggest things that I have. I kind of want to just talk to you about that, see where you kind of landed on that side of the aisle.
No, I'm in agreement with you. Maybe for different reasons, but I'm in agreement that I would have loved to have had Tennessee Tech at the beginning of the year. I mean, just switch the Ole Miss game and the Tennessee Tech game for a second, and just walk through what that possibly could have been. I'm going through a couple more hypotheticals than just the game positioning. But you played Toledo, and let's say the outcome was the same there. Kentucky beats Toledo 24-16. Great. Then you play Tennessee Tech. Maybe we don't have the same performance that we had, 42-10. Maybe it's a little bit closer. Let's say we get 3 scores. But let's also put in a hypothetical that Zach Calzada doesn't start the season as well. I know he did, and I know I'm not trying to change what the past was, but let's just say for the betterment of this argument, that Cutter Boley was playing, and this was his time to actually start learning the offense. Which credit to Jacob for probably calling that out early and saying, hey, he should have been starting the entire year. But so assuming that was the case, I mean, this would have been a development period for that. So now they go 2-0. They play two, I don't want to say easy teams, but not SEC team competition. And then they go play Eastern Michigan and beat the brakes off of them 48-23. So now you're starting the season off 3-0. You have confidence going into the SEC play. You're getting that development in with those young guys, the receivers. I mean, to this point, we had no cohesiveness on offense beginning of the year. We only had Seth McGowan when he was able to break a good run, or Dante Daldell when he broke it against Toledo, a random pick that we were able to get. J.Q. Hardaway was able to get against Toledo. Like, those were the sparks of our team. Other than that, we were embarrassed to watch what we did against Toledo. I mean, Toledo was still minus their. If their quarterback could have been any better, if their quarterback was the quarterback from Tennessee Tech, who I actually thought had a decent game. I'm not saying he was like an MVP or anything like that, but he was running around our defense, which I'll get into later, by the way. They had Tennessee Tech's quarterback and Toledo. I'm not convinced that we don't lose that game. We didn't have anything going for us on our team at the beginning of the year, but that was a time where our chemistry could have came together, and we would have had confidence going in to South Carolina, Texas, which again, that was a 1-score game. Tennessee, okay, fine, maybe we lose that game. Auburn, we won that game. Beat Florida, and then who was it that we won? Oh, Texas. Yeah, really, that Texas game could have been the flip there. So now we have another win that would have, to your point, really helped us already have bowl contention, not have to worry about it necessarily these next 2 games. Also, better for recruiting purposes. You're talking about talent coming in the future. Now we have these recruits saying, oh, Kentucky's actually starting to pick up momentum. We really need to start looking at Kentucky as an opportunity for me as a 17, 18-year-old athlete say, hey, 16, 17, 18-year-old athlete say, hey, I want to go play for Kentucky because they're actually going to be a contender in the SEC. Then they commit, and then we have another player. So I think there's a lot on the line that if they were to switch this out, it would have really benefited us. I would have switched it for those reasons, development purposes, recruiting purposes. I think there's, honestly, I mean, the way we watch it with like the basketball teams where they do the non-conference and then conference games, I think we should roll out that model. Maybe that's something for the future, with us going to 9 SEC games starting next year?
Yep. Next year. I mean, yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. We're talking about positivity here in the football program, and then you want to remind me that we got to play 9 conference games next year. You're jumping the gun here on me, pal. Let me enjoy this. We're on a winning streak. We got 3 in a row going. Let me enjoy this schedule. But like you mentioned, I mean, instead of taking that bye week that you had, that open week you had in the calendar earlier in the season, like, it'd been so much better to get this Tennessee Tech game under your belts. And then you can use this, even if you want to use this week as your bye week, how much better would it be for this team to have a bye week right now? Getting ready for a game where you got to travel to Vanderbilt and then a game where you got to travel to Louisville to face the Cardinals. getting everybody right. I mean, we're going through injuries right now, left and right. Alex Afari didn't play last week. Jordan Lovett's out for the season. Sam Green's out for the season. You're talking about getting young guys prepared, giving them 2 weeks to get ready for a game plan. But that's all a moot point because we can't change it. So, I mean, let's go ahead and talk about how good this team did look against Tennessee Tech and how good they have looked. I mean, you kind of mentioned just there. I mean, Cutter Boley. I mean, what is there? Obviously, you're playing a Division II team, so I want to preface it by saying that. But Tyler, you got a chance to see him just that like 30-yard touchdown run that he had where he bowls over a guy into the end zone? I mean, your quarterback's doing that. I mean, I think you and I both know from playing football at a collegiate level that you see your starting quarterback doing that, and that's firing you up for, at the minimum, the rest of the game, if not just for the rest of the season, especially when you've got 3 wins in a row and you're going to face 2 of your bigger rivals in Vanderbilt and Louisville. I think all the signs are pointing up for Kentucky, and I think obviously Cutter Boley is a giant reason why.
Yeah, I definitely think that's promising to see, the performance we've seen from Connor, not just against Vandy, but really over the last several weeks. He's definitely improved a ton since his. You cut off for a second, Cam. Yeah, I think you muted yourself.
Hey, yeah, I mean, he hasn't even played Vandy yet, so yeah, that's.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what was his first start? Georgia? I know I got you mid-sip there. My bad.
He mid sip there. That was his first true start was that South Carolina game. If you remember how poorly that went, and I mean, yeah,
Got it. I mean, so you're talking about from the South Carolina game. I mean, that was his first game in this year, and we're kind of seeing it with Shedeur Sanders in the NFL. Even when you're a second team quarterback, you usually don't get the starting reps. They're trying to develop the other young quarterback who's starting for the team, which in this case was Zach Calzada. Imagine if Cutter would have started a little bit earlier. But okay, so he started from the South Carolina game. He didn't do too well. Since that point, I mean, he's gotten better every single week. There's been games where he's thrown the ball for, 200, higher 200s, low 300 yards passing games. He's been incredible. He limited the interceptions. He's limited the turnovers as of the last couple weeks. He's put up good ratings. He's getting the ball out to multiple different receivers. I mean, this game last week he had 10 different receivers. This week he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different guys were able to get the ball this week. So that's an incredible performance. Cutter's showing up. I'm not trying to jump the gun. I'll let you explain your side of this a little bit too, but I'm still a little concerned with the defense. We played Tennessee Tech. I know they only put up 10 points. They seemed like they were moving the ball a little bit too much for my liking, if I'm being honest, especially the quarterback. He seemed to be scrambling around. And if you remember last year, Diego seemed like he had wheels on him too. Kind of worried that our contain's letting up a little bit. Hopefully that's not the issue, but the secondary was also letting up too. There was a couple of chunk plays out there from Tennessee Tech's receivers that I wasn't too fond of. They had a 29-yard bomb. They had a 12-yard. I mean, 12, 11, 13 were the other long ones, but they're letting up yards after carry too, or yards after catch too, and I'm kind of getting a little nervous about that. We're opening pockets up for the receiving game and the run game a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about this defense. I mean, at least from the standard of how they performed in this game. We mentioned the injuries that they were going through. DJ Waller didn't play. Alex Afari didn't play. You lost Jordan Love, who's not going to play for us this season, and Sam Green. So you got a lot of young guys that are working in. And honestly, this Tennessee Tech offense, it's just a good offense. I get it's at the Division II ranks, but I think they were the highest scoring D2 team in college football right now. So they're still going to find their way to make some plays, even if it's not at a consistent level. And this defense has allowed 16 or less points in 4 of the last 5 games they've played, and that's against Texas, Auburn, Florida, and Tennessee Tech. The only one where they gave up more than that was against Tennessee, who has one of the best offenses in the country. So I think this defense is playing really well right now, and I'm not concerned necessarily by what they showed on film on Saturday. The part for me that would be concerning about the defense is the injury bug seems to keep adding a couple more victims each week, and hopefully you get a guy like Afari and DJ Waller back for this week because you mentioned you're going to need them, and Afari specifically, having that middle linebacker in the middle of the field that you can spy Diego Pavia, because it seems like he makes the most of his plays when it is out of structure and, that ability to move. We watched it firsthand last year when we watched him play at Kroger Field. He makes a lot of off-script plays, And that's something you're going to have to keep him contained with. And I think we'll actually do a good job of that with David Rayner and Alex Safari if they're both healthy and good to go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Kentucky team can do because we've got a lot of leaders on the defensive side of the ball. But on this offense, man, outside of the offensive line, got a lot of young guys that are stepping up and making plays. And it's super exciting because it feels like it's been at least 3-4 years since we've seen that. I think the last time you saw that was with Berrien and Dane Key, their true freshman years. And then they never developed after that. And now it's just like, can we develop these guys? Can they keep getting better? Can we keep an offensive coordinator with all these guys at the same time? Can they all have the same receivers coach for that amount of time? I mean, there's a lot of ifs and a lot of buts and a lot of candy and nuts. I don't know. There's a lot of everything going on. But I personally, I don't know about you. Sitting here at 5-5, like if I had to ask you, the two teams you have to play left in the season, what's the percentage chance you think we win at least one of those games, if not both?
One of those games, I see us having a 75% chance of winning one of those games. And honestly, I think that's a bit optimistic, but I do see us being able, if we can't pull it out against Vandy, I think that we have enough energy to go out there against Louisville and giving them a win or getting a win against them. I think we split. I don't see us winning two in a row to finish out the season. As much as I'd love it, I just don't see it. But that gets us to 6-6, which is what we we both predicted at the beginning of the year with Boyers. I'm not gonna lie, halfway, about 4 weeks into the season, we were all giving up on that. I was there. I was one of them. I was like, yeah, it's probably more likely that we only win the 3 games. I don't even think that we'll probably squeak by Tennessee Tech, and that's about it. I'm genuinely impressed. They've come around a little bit. So it's definitely nice to be 500 here with 2 games to go. I see them splitting the last couple of games, and that's just because it's going to be two very competitive teams. I mean, Louisville's not doing too bad. Vandy's been doing what they've been doing for the last couple of years, and it's kind of impressed us that they've stayed consistent even this year with their former play. So they have a lot to lose in this game. If they lose this game, I think that seals the deal for any playoff chances they have. They're kind of bordering that right now. I think at 14. So they're going to be playing. They're going to be putting all their chips in. And then Louisville, I don't remember where they're positioned right now, but they're sitting at 7-3 in the big in their conference. So
Louisville's going to lose. They've lost back-to-back weeks, or they might even squeeze the last one out. But I mean, they just lost.
They just lost to Clemson. They just lost to Cal.
Yeah, they've lost back-to-back games against two really
They're not ranked anymore. So they're not even in a playoff push, but they definitely want to play for that game.
Yeah, I mean, Louisville's going to Louisville. They start off to these hot starts, and then nothing's going to show from it. But, I mean, they are still a good team, and they're going to want to fight for the big dog over there. Pardon my French. He's not the big dog.
Small dog?
No, the big. I'm going to use a different word. It starts with a B, but I won't use it here. Kid show. But I was waiting for you to ask me what my percentage on us getting at least one of these 2 games.
I didn't feel like I had to ask. I just figured you were going to give it, but sure. Cam, what was your percentages?
Here we are. We've gotten here. I mean, the way this team's playing right now, you mentioned Vanderbilt's going to be they're in the middle of a playoff push right now. They win this Kentucky game, and then I'm not sure who they have that final game of the season. Let's see. I mean, they play Tennessee. I mean, there's a real good chance. You mentioned the point spread was 9.5. There's a real good chance they overlooked this Kentucky team a little bit. This could be their trap game. Diego Pavia loves himself some Diego Pavia. He's thinking he's going to win the Heisman. He's going to look for Heisman moments. I think he's going to try and push the ball more with his arm. I think they're going to try and get him those stats to potentially build his Heisman case. And if we've got DJ Waller, if we've got Alex Safari healthy, I like our chances with that right now because, Tyler, this defense is actually making open field tackles. And it's crazy what happens when a defense makes open field tackles and how much that changes. Because once they started doing that, 16 points to Tennessee, or not Tennessee, 16 points to Texas. Granted, they don't make open field tackles against Tennessee. Tennessee goes for 50+. They start making those open field tackles again, and you hold Auburn to, 7, and then Tennessee or Florida 3. I don't even know what it is. It was Auburn was 3, and then Florida was 7. And most of those were both one was off of a punt return, and the other one was off of a late interception. This defense is playing incredible. If they're healthy, I think there's a good chance they limit this Vanderbilt team to right around 20 points. I think Pavia makes some critical mistakes, and I think the Cats really do have a good chance in this one. I'm actually very surprised that the spread is 9.5. And don't get me wrong, Tyler, I fully understand. I'm letting this momentum train build, and it's building in my head. It's getting there. I think you can see it. I think you can see a lot of this positivity that I'm coming at you with the football program. But we mentioned early in the season, the wins were at the back half of the schedule. We knew Ole Miss was going to be a playoff team. We knew Georgia was going to be fighting for a playoff spot. We knew Texas was going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Same thing with Tennessee. We said earlier in the season that those wins came when you play Auburn, when you play Florida. I don't know if we expected Vanderbilt to be this good. We expected Louisville to be right around here. This is the part of the schedule where you can get these wins. I'm not saying Vanderbilt is an easy win because you're going to their house. They're number 14 in the nation. They've played great all year. They do have a really good quarterback, and Clark Lee has done a fantastic job down there in Nashville. But there's just something telling me, kind of like it told me last year in that Ole Miss game, Tyler. I got some fuzzy feelings about this game. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just riding the high of a 42-10 win, but I really do like the Cats, and I think with Bush Hamden given the keys, I think Mark Stoops' thumbprint is finally off of this offense a little bit. Bush is allowed to kind of do what he wants when he wants, and the cohesion that Cutterman you mentioned how early in the season he had to run with all the twos all off season. Well, guess what? Those twos out at receiver, like DJ Miller, Cam Miller, those guys are now all running with the ones. And those guys, he built that cohesion with them in the spring, and it's showing up now. A long-winded way of telling you what my percentage is here. I'm giving you a 95% chance they win one of these two games. I'm not saying it's going to be the one in Nashville because that is a top 15 team. I don't think this Louisville team is very good. I mean, you have the starting quarterback coming out mentioning, yeah, it's a culture problem. We have a culture problem here. Your starting quarterback mentioning that after a loss, maybe not the best sign. I think things are crumbling down there at Papa John Stadium or whatever the hell it's called now. I don't even think it's called that. It's like L&N Financial, something stupid. But Tyler, I gave you a lot of information there. What are you thinking?
I mean, I'm thinking a lot.
There's a
It's
first
one
for
of those
everything.
games. Here we go. I was thinking about that spread there, 9.5, and I was like, I think it's gonna be a lot closer. And as you rambled on and on, I was like, I know why they put it at 9.5 because I'm looking at the last few games here, and I just got to thinking. I was like, okay, so Texas, we scored 13 points. Then we had 34 points. Then we had 3 points. Then we had 38 points. Granted, we had 42 points against Tennessee Tech, but we've been kind of back and forth on the scores. It kind of depends. Like, are we a team that's going to get in the end zone this game, or are we not? Are we going to have? And then on the flip side of that, are we going to have the defense that is going to make those open field tackles and give us another chance to fight? I mean, I just mentioned how I was kind of worried because there were some big chunk plays from Tennessee Tech. They weren't ever able to finish drives. There was a couple. I think they had a missed field goal early on.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if they would have missed that field goal, my score was perfect. I guess 42-7. It was 42-10. This close, and he just nailed the second field goal. Very upset. Anyway, if we get that defense that has been coming around the last few weeks, where they've been making those open field tackles and really giving that bend but don't break defensive feel that we were talking about even at the beginning of the year, we have that. This is a done deal. We should wrap this game up pretty easily. But that's also assuming that Vandy's not coming out and doing what they've been doing, which they had a shootout, albeit against Auburn, that we kept close. Auburn kept us close too, and they put up 30 or 45 points against Auburn. So they put up 31 points against Texas. So they're able to put up points just as easy as we have shown that we've been doing the last few weeks as well. I see why it's 9.5 because it could very easily be over that. It could be very easily under that. It could be a competitive game. It could be a blowout. I'm a little worried. I don't know if 95% is realistic here. I think I'm comfortable with 75% here, Cam. I think at 95 you are very optimistic. You're riding the high, and I'll give you credit because you've been saying that the back half of the season here was going to be the easy schedule. I kind of lost track of that in the losses. I forgot about the tough part of the schedule, the realistic tough part of the schedule where we're playing Georgia, playing Texas. I mean, I'll even put Ole Miss there, albeit at the beginning of the year. That was a tough Tennessee. I know those were tough games, but I don't know. I think it's still a little optimistic for the last half of the season that we're going to have a 95% chance of winning at least one. I think it's high. I just don't think it's that high.
Yeah. Let me clarify with what I'm saying here. I don't think people look at this Kentucky team and look at what they've done in a whole and kind of look at like the losses that they've had. You mentioned a one possession game against Texas, who is fighting to be in the college football playoff. The sixth seed in the college football playoff now, they lost by a possession. At Georgia, they got the doors blown off, and against Tennessee, got the doors blown off. Two bad games there, and then obviously the worst game of the season was that South Carolina game. But you're talking about if those one possession games flip another way, like the NFL and the volatility of one possession games and how much those switch year in, year out. If those flip, I mean, how much different are you looking at this Kentucky team? Granted, they didn't and they lost those games, but also like Vanderbilt's squeaking by with all of these wins that they have. They gave up 35 points to Utah State, gave up 24 to LSU, 30 to Alabama, 34 to Texas, 38 to Auburn. I mean, they're winning these shootouts as of right now, but which of those? I mean, Texas has a good defense, but that was when Texas was playing probably their worst football, and they still came out with a win. I think this game sets up pretty well for Kentucky if, and the big if, they have corner two in DJ Waller and their starting middle linebacker in Alex Afari. I think he can set up really well for them to at least compete in this game. Like, I think that 9.5 point spread, I think it's too high. I really do, especially with the amount of points that Vandy gives up week in and week out. And these are to offenses like we just held Auburn to 3 points. Now, granted, Auburn has two of the best receivers in the country, and as soon as Hugh Freeze got fired, they threw him the ball. Crazy what happens when you throw two of the best receivers in college football the ball. They put up a lot of points. I think Kentucky's going to be given their chances in this game from Diego Pavia. I think he's full of himself, and I don't have a better way to say it. This guy loves some Diego Pavia. I think he's going to give the Cats chances to flip this game on the defensive side of the ball. And hopefully, I think now we feel a lot better with this offense taking advantage of those. If you remember that Ole Miss game, there was 3 early turnovers from Ole Miss, and we didn't even capitalize on any of them. I mean, think about, you mentioned put Cutter into that game, and does any of that change? I think I look at this game, and this is probably going to be the pivotal win for Stoops. And you get to that point, and he wins 6 games when the Vegas over/under was 4.5. He's obviously coming back for next year, if he wants to, because he is getting up there in age. He's always wanted to say he wants to retire early. His family's full of coaches. He could retire early. I don't think he's going to. He's got 38 million reasons not to. So, and that kind of talks.
Definitely talks. I don't know. I predicted 5 years at the beginning of the offseason here. So if he sticks around, I think he's sticking around for that timeline if he's not getting fired. But which, to your point, I mean, I think if he wins this game, I think if he wins Bandy, really, if he wins one of the next 2 games, I think he's secured his job. I think he's already secured his job for next year, but I think he puts a staple in it. I think Mitch comes out if he beats Bandy and says, yeah, he's good for another year. Maybe not just like that, but something similar to that. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm going to stick true to what I was saying earlier. I think it really just depends on the teams that come out. And to my point, Vandy, this is a big game for Vandy. Vandy can't lose this game. And neither can we, for that matter. But I mean, they're teetering that playoff berth, and this would be a huge blow to lose to Kentucky, and they're at home.
If they lose this
I don't
game,
know. I mean,
tension. So
we were talking, but you brought up the NFL about those one-score games, and the first thing I thought about was the Chiefs, because the last few years, they're always that team that in a one-score game, they always pulled it out at the end. But this year, they're 0-5
I think
to start the year. How fast is switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this almost kind of gives me that feeling with Vandy, is that they're that team that in a one-score game, they seem to pull it out somehow at the end. And don't get me wrong, I'm giving our team a lot of credit, especially on the offensive side, but I don't know if they've proven to us that they're going to win the one-score game consistently. I think they're kind of a toss-up, if not on the back end of those still with that. And then with our defense, like I said, it's just who would have thought before the year I would have been thinking. I'm sure there's a good amount of fans that feel the same way, that our defense is the biggest question mark right now. It's not really our offense. Our offense, I feel like they're going to go out, they're going to put yards up. I feel like that our running backs have picked up the slack. I mean, Kendrick Law on the receiving side, I mean, he's been dominating. He's taken the receiving room to another level, which has opened up other guys transparently. I think, to your point, Miller, Gilmore, Macklin has gotten in there. Miller's got in there. So these guys have gotten open, and I feel like that starts with Kendrick Law and what Cutter Boley's been able to do with getting these guys getting different options out there, and it's been impressive. So I'm not too worried about our offense too much, but our defense, I do have some question marks going in against Vandy here.
Like I mentioned, I think I've kind of already hinted on that, but the only thing I'm worried about the defense right now is just regressing back to what was going on for that 3-week stretch where they played Eastern Michigan and gave up 300 passing yards, and then because if you think about that South Carolina game, the defense didn't play poorly. I mean, there was literally 17 straight points given up from the offense to the defense. That wasn't the defense's problem. Granted, they didn't play well against Georgia. I think that's when Brad White finally admitted, like, hey, we have a tackling problem. He came out and said that. We were there to hear him say that. And then against Tennessee, we have always struggled. Tennessee has always given us fits, so I kind of almost threw that game out of the window. And since then, I mean, I think this defense has been really good. Injuries aside, you got to see if those guys will step up and who's going to be healthy. Obviously, we don't have that injury report yet. That usually comes out on Thursday, but I'm not saying they're going to keep them under, like 25 or anything like that. I think for Kentucky to win this game, for me to feel confident, I think this might be a game where they probably have to score 31. I think they score 30. I think it's the race to 30 is whoever wins this game. I think you kind of see that looking at Vanderbilt's schedule so far this season.
No, I'm in agreement with that. I do think this is going to be a little bit of a higher scoring game if it's going to be competitive. You ready for our score predictions?
You want to go for it? Go for it. I'm all ears, man. You've been bumming me out here, man. I've been over here riding the high. I'm over there like it's like I'm at Kings Island. I'm on the Diamondback. I'm like riding this, and I know it's coming down because I can hear your demeanor, and I'm just waiting. We're at the crest right now. Go ahead. If you're gonna bring me down, go ahead and bring me
down. That's kind of why I wanted to bring you up, because I want to go first. I want to let you close it out. Look, I'm not gonna be positive pony going into this week. Again, I think that Vandy just has so much that they're riding on right now. They're ranked 14th. They're bordering that playoff berth. This game is the first step to finishing out their season. I think that I don't think they cover the spread. I don't think they get the 9.5 points, or 10 over 10 points. I think they keep it close. I think it's within a score. I think that they find a way to squeak it out at the end. I'm going to give it 34-20. Let's go 34-31. Let's give it a close game there. I think we get the 30, but I think they just squeak it through last minute. It's unfortunate because I actually think Kentucky's doing really well. I just think that the Commodores have way too much to lose, and they're at home. I think that they find a way to get it done.
Yeah, go ahead and punch a couple more holes in my parachute and send me out of the plane, why don't you? You know what? I'm riding high right now with the basketball team. What's going on there? I'm full into the football team. I think I love when Kentucky football is going and these fans are behind them. That's why we started this. That's why we started this whole podcast, was because of this football team and what we thought they could do. Granted, did that go the way we thought it was going to last year? Maybe not. Maybe not how I envisioned it. But guess what? I'm sticking true to what I said in the preseason. I had the Cats at 5-5 coming into this game, and I had them winning this game. Nothing I've seen from Vanderbilt over the past couple weeks has changed my mind, and everything that I've seen from Kentucky has not changed my mind, is at least when it comes to that. But they've changed my mind in the grand scheme of things over the past 3 weeks. They've been incredible. Now, granted, some of those they're winning with defense, some they're winning with offense, some they're blowing teams out. But guess what, Tyler? That's what I'm not going to say great teams do, because this is not a great team. But that's what good teams do. Good teams find a way to win when not everything's going right. I think a bad team at Auburn against the ropes like that, where they only scored 10 points, finds a way to lose. I think Kentucky's got something cooking here, and I really do think that there's going to be one or two plays from Diego Pavia that gives Kentucky that chance, gives them that extra field goal that they need to win this game and squeeze it out in Nashville. Tyler, the only thing that I wish from this game more than anything is that we were there credentialed to see it, because boy, oh boy, would Broadway be seeing a hell of a time out of Cameron Johnston after that.
Yeah, I mean that'd be exciting to be down there. I know we were talking about it, but we will be somewhere else on Saturday instead. So we'll have fun. We'll have fun in Louisville covering the women's basketball team.
Yep.
L's down for that. Yeah, we gotta make sure.
We mentioned it yesterday at the women's game. We've got 3 straight weeks of hating the University of Louisville. Now, granted, that's 52 weeks a year for me, but I get to be audible about it and speak it into fruition for these 3 weeks of the year. I'm going to do it every chance I get. Every single chance I get. But Tyler, I beat around the bush. I gave you the way in which I think this Kentucky team can win the game. Now I'm going to give you the score. I told you I think it's going to be the race to 30. Whoever gets there is going to win this game. And I mentioned I think there's going to be a costly turnover by Diego Pavia. He tried to give it away against Auburn. Auburn just refused to do it. I don't know if they thought they were tanking for a draft pick next year. It's not the NFL, so I'm not sure what they're doing. But I think Kentucky wins this game 31-28. I think they find a way to capitalize on a key turnover, and Jacob Coway makes a big kick down the stretch in which gives Kentucky a win. They finally end a losing streak to Vanderbilt. Just saying that disgusts me. I know they've been a good program over the past 2 years, but that still disgusts me to say. I think you knock them out of playoff contention. You're looking at 6-5. You're looking at a bowl game. Stoops is back, whether you're happy about that or not, whether it's the best thing for the program going forward. That's not what I'm here to debate right now. The Cats have won 3-0. That would get them to 4 in a row. And then you're talking about building some real steam going into that Louisville game, and there's going to be a lot of animosity for that. You got one of the most beloved assistant coaches, I think, of like all time across any sport, goes to the rival school. There's going to be a lot of fireworks in that game. And if the Cats win on this Saturday, I might have to be in attendance for that. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to catch a cramp with the amount of L's down I throw. So it's going to be bang, 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 bang. I mean, they're going to be everywhere. I'm going to smuggle in some L's and keep them down the whole time. Anybody who gets within 5 feet of me in that dirty, ugly red is getting an L down to the face. Like anytime you want it, it's right there. They're right there. Like you see them anywhere you want. Saturday, I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be getting ready this Saturday at the women's game. Tyler, I'm all in on the football team. I got to be positive about something. And gosh darn it, Mark Stoops has given me something to be positive about. Bush Hamden, Brad White, the staff that we were so critical of early in the season has given us something to be positive on. And I can't believe you came in here with that negativity and picked the Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm severely disappointed in you. I expected that from Jacob Boyers, but I did not expect that from you. And you have really ruined my week. I hope you know that.
Like Jacob called me before the show. He said, "Tom, I need you to express my negativity a little bit on my behalf." He was a little busy tonight. He couldn't be here, but he wanted to make sure that I expressed that to you, Cam, because he knew you were going to be on your high horse. You knew that we're doing well. We're sitting there 5-5. He just told me, he's like, "Tom, I really need you to be negative." And I was like, "All right, I got you. Don't worry. I will down on Seth McGowan because I know how much Cam loves Seth McGowan. I'll make sure that he's
Still our
positioned
best
behind
offensive
Dante."
player. Still our best offensive player.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that the last couple of weeks, Dante Dalbell's been showing up. I'll give him that. Although, albeit Seth McGowan did get the 3 touchdown runs, I also feel like schematically that was just he was favored to do that. Dante Dalbell seems to be a little bit more of the workhorse back right now.
He's third in the SEC in touchdowns. This guy is third in the SEC in touchdowns, and no one across the college football landscape is talking about it. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I'm going to quote my inner DeMarcus Boogie Cousins here. It's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
The 2 longest runs this season for the Kentucky Wildcats have been Dante Daldell. I mean, I'm just saying, he's the speed back, he's the power back, he's the receiver, he's everything for us. I mean, he's doing everything. So, I mean, you're wrong about the quarterback situation. Now you're wrong about the running back situation, or it is what it is. But yeah, we're excited for this week. We're excited for this. I hope I'm wrong. I'm glad that Boyers is not here because I feel like he might accidentally side with me, and then we would definitely lose. But Us two together are always right. That's just how it works.
I saw you over here with this motion. I'm assuming you're talking about how many wins can the Cats have this season, and you're talking about 6, 7. I don't.
Think so?
We're getting there, Big Blue Nation. And guess what? Cameron and Tyler here. We'll have you covered here on the Cats Talk podcast. Wildcats kick off in Nashville at 3:30. Tyler, SEC Nation's going to be there. This is their game. They're going down there, kicking off on Broadway. I think it's going to be a great game. Let's end Vandy's playoff hopes. Let's end Diego Pavia's Heisman hopefuls. He doesn't have a shot anyways, even if he throws for like 300 yards in this game. Doesn't have a shot. But we'll have you covered, whether it goes great, like I'm hoping, or very bad, like Tyler is so evidently hoping.
I'm not hoping for that.
I'm
Catch a lie.
still disgusted by your actions today. Big Blue Nation, we will have you covered. Check in. We're going to have podcasts for you all week. This is the season of Kentucky athletics. Tyler, we've got Kentucky volleyball. I mean, they just won their 9th SEC championship in a row. You got Kentucky men's basketball kicking off. Boy, we got a lot to talk about on that one tomorrow. So catch in with me and Jake tomorrow when we talk about that. The women's basketball. I mean, 41-point win to Purdue. I mean, come on. They're going to go face the Dirty Birds on Saturday. That's kicking off. Football's wrapping up, and we're on a high there. This is the time to be tuned into the Cats Talk podcast, and you can get all of our podcasts on YouTube, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you get it. Tyler, I mentioned this in the last episode. We're global, baby. We're global. I mean, there's like 13 different countries we're getting streamed from on Spotify right now. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for listening to the Cats Talk podcast. Stick with us because we're going to have a lot more content, and the content's only getting better and better each week. For Cameron Johnson and Tyler Britton, go Big Blue.
Go Big Blue.
Bang.